Our selection is All Through the Blood. In shady green pastures, so rich and so sweet. Yah He leads his dear children all along. Oh yes, he does. Now sometimes on the mountaintop, in the darkness of night, Yah leads, he leads his dear children all along. In shady green pastures, so rich and so sweet. Yah he leads his dear children all along. Oh yes, he does. Now sometimes on the mountaintop, in the darkness of night, Yah he leads his dear children all along. Some through the water, some through the water, some through the flood, some through the flood, some through the fire, some through the fire, all through the blood, all through the blood. Some through great sorrow, some through great sorrow. Yah gives a song, Yah gives a song. In the night season, in the night season, and all of the day long. Some through the water, some through the water, some through the flood, some through the flood, some through the fire, some through the fire, all through the blood, all through the blood. Some through great sorrow, Yah gives a song, Yah gives a song. In the night season, in the night season, in the night season, in the night season, in your night season, in your night season, Yah will make a way out of no way. In your night season, in your night season, and all of the day long.
The Oracles of the UCI. 1 Peter chapter 4, verses 7 through 11. But the end of all things is at hand. Be you therefore sober, and watch unto prayer. And above all things have fervent love among yourselves, for love shall cover the multitude of sins. Use hospitality one to another without grudging. As every man has received the gift, even so minister the same one to another, as good stewards of the manifold grace of Elohim. If any man speak, let him speak as the oracles of Elohim. If any man minister, let him do it as of the ability which Elohim gives, that Elohim in all things may be glorified through Yahshua the Mashiach, to whom be praise and dominion forever and ever. Amen. Ephesians chapter 4, verses 29 through chapter 5 and verse 4. Let no corrupt communication proceed out of your mouth, but that which is good to the use of edifying, that it may minister grace unto the hearers. And grieve not the Holy Spirit of Elohim, whereby you are sealed until the day of redemption. Let all bitterness and wrath and anger and clamor and evil speaking be put away from you with all malice. And be you kind one to another, tender-hearted, forgiving one another, even as Elohim for Yahshua's sake has forgiven you. Be you therefore followers of Elohim, as dear children, and walk in love, as the Mashiach also have loved us, and has given himself for us an offering and sacrifice to Elohim for a sweet-smelling savor. But fornication and all uncleanness or covetousness, let it not be once named among you as become saints. Neither filthiness, nor foolish talking, nor jesting, which are not convenient, but rather giving of thanks. Ecclesiastes chapter 5, verses 1 and 2. Keep your foot when you go to the house of Elohim, and be more ready to hear, than to give the sacrifice of fools, for they consider not that they do evil. Be not rash with your mouth, and let not your heart be hasty to utter anything before Elohim. For Elohim is in heaven, and you upon earth, therefore let your words be few. Exodus chapter 23, verses 20 and 21. Behold, I send an angel before you, to keep you in the way, and to bring you into the place which I have prepared. Beware of him, and obey his voice. Provoke him not, for he will not pardon your transgressions, for my name is in him. Revelations chapter 3, verses 20 through 22. Behold, I stand at the door and knock. If any man hear my voice and open the door, I will come into him, and will sup with him, and he with me. To him that overcomes will I grant to sit with me in my throne, even as I have also overcame and am sat down with my Father in his throne. He that has an ear, let him hear what the Spirit says unto the churches.
All right, Shabbat Shalom.
Shabbat Shalom.
Which is peace on Yahweh's Holy Sabbath Day. Welcome to another holy convocation that Yahweh has enjoined unto us here in Stone Mountain, Georgia. We ended up getting a question a while back on one of the classes, and I looked at it and ended up forgetting about it, and it was concerning the kings and priests and the people who are in this daughter of Babylon that is now called America. So we have to go into a few things there so that we will understand. Sometimes a question is asked, and I don't think sometimes people really consider like how many other things you need to know to even be able to understand the answer. You can get a quick answer, like you can answer in one sentence, but the issue is, how much of that is going to really be understood when just going into like a one-line answer per se. So we're going to deal with the kings, the priests, and the warriors of Israel, and try to give a little bit of understanding on what all that means, because we have some things that we are responsible for, some things that we have to do. So we're going to begin today's sermon in Numbers chapter 35.
Start verse 1.
Yeah.
Numbers chapter 35 and verse 1. And Yahweh spake unto Moshe in the plains of Moab by Jordan near Jericho, saying, Command the children of Israel that they give unto the Levites of the inheritance of their possessions cities to dwell in. And you shall give also unto the Levites suburbs for the cities round about them. And the cities shall they have to dwell in. And the suburbs of them shall be for their cattle and for their goods, and for all their beasts. And the suburbs of the city, which you shall give unto the Levites, shall reach from the wall of the city and outward 1,000 cubits round about. And you shall measure from without the city on the east side 2,000 cubits, and on the south side 2,000 cubits, and on the west side 2,000 cubits, and on the north side 2,000 cubits. And the city shall be in the midst. This shall be to them the suburbs of the cities. And among the cities which you shall give unto the Levites, there shall be 6 cities for refuge, which you shall appoint for the manslayer, that he may flee thither. And to them you shall add 42 cities. So all the cities which you shall give to the Levites shall be 48 cities. Them shall you give with their suburbs.
So then we understand that a lot of times when we read things and we see things, we see this image of this large temple, and then you just come to your mind that there's this one place where all Israel was going. You got to understand that the land was too big for everybody to be able to go to the same place all the time, and for all the priests to be in one location. So the priests had to be spread out. We take a lot of things for granted that we're all together, but who's to say that we're not all being trained to do a job, and then all of those people will be spread out to go and perform their priestly duties, all spread throughout the places where Israel will be. Go ahead.
Verse 8. And the cities which you shall give shall be of the possession of the children of Israel. From them that have many you shall give many, but from them that have few you shall give few. Everyone shall give of his cities unto the Levites according to his inheritance, which he inherits.
Right, because as you start looking at this this slide here, when you start breaking down this land, you notice you don't see a land for Levi. There is no allotted place for the priests. The priests are spread out throughout the entire nation. So whenever you're looking for a breakdown of land, you're not going to run into any that has Levi on it. But then that goes all the way down. You're going to see how the things in our past help formulate our future. And Yahweh didn't forget anything. Men, want to try to forget things, but Yahweh, none of that means anything to Yahweh. You're going to see how even their jobs fit into some situations or some things that they got into earlier. Go ahead.
And Yahweh spake unto Moshe, saying, Speak unto the children of Israel, and say unto them, When you be come over Jordan into the land of Canaan, then you shall appoint you cities to be cities of refuge for you, that the slayer may flee thither, which kills any person at unawares.
So this is an accident, then he may go and live in those cities where those priests are. They are cities of refuge. So automatically then you see a separation between what ends up happening in the areas where the priests are. So there's a certain amount of respect. Even if you go back to older days, even the roughneck dudes in the neighborhood, when they saw certain women and certain, elders in the neighborhood, they would stop whatever foul thing they were doing, whether it was fussing, fighting, cursing, doing whatever. They would see somebody, and I'm talking about these straight thugs now. They would see the grown up and stop. Let those grown-ups pass, and they'd be right back to throwing each other up against the wall, slamming each other up against cars. But as soon as there was a situation where these people who had honor in that community walked up, everything stopped. It's a different time now. Go ahead.
And they shall be unto you cities for refuge from the avenger, that the manslayer die not until he stand before the congregation in judgment. And of these cities which you shall give, 6 cities shall you have for refuge. You shall give 3 cities on this side Jordan, and 3 cities shall you give in the land of Canaan, which shall be cities of refuge. These 6 cities shall be a refuge, both for the children of Israel and for the stranger, and for the sojourner among them.
And this is something that, you know, if you don't read these things, you're going to allow the Sunday morning doctrine to make you believe that Yahweh has not opened the door unto other nations. Even the cities of refuge wasn't just for us. You have these things that were open for other people. So without you reading this, you start running into these people that say, you know, oh, that was that old God that didn't let any other people in other than Israel. What book are they reading? Because everything I come past, he'll give a direction for Israel. Then he turns around and gives, oh, and this for the stranger. Other nations could come along. They just had to follow the rules. But then again, we had to follow the rules. So how was that a problem? Go ahead.
That everyone that kills any person unawares may flee thither. Verse 16. And if he smite him with an instrument of iron, so that he die, he is a murderer. The murderer shall surely be put to death.
Right. So a murderer can't come and hide amongst the city of refuge. No, this is for somebody who did something as an accident. No, if you intentionally did it, you don't get to hide. You got to go face judgment. Go ahead.
And if he smite him with throwing a stone, wherewith he may die, and he die, he is a murderer. The murderer shall surely be put to death. Or if he smite him with an hand weapon of wood, wherewith he may die, and he die, he is a murderer. The murderer shall surely be put to death. The revenger of blood himself shall slay the murderer. When he meeteth him, he shall slay him. But if he thrust him of hatred, or hurl at him by laying of weight, that he die, or in enmity smite him with his hand, that he die, he that smote him shall surely be put to death, for he is a murderer. The revenger of blood shall slay the murderer when he meets him. But if he thrust him suddenly without enmity, or have cast upon him anything without laying of weight, or with any stone, wherewith a man may die, seeing him not, and cast it upon him, that he die, and was not his enemy, neither sought his harm, then the congregation shall judge between the slayer and the revenger of blood, according to these judgments. And the congregation shall deliver the slayer out of the hand of the revenger of blood, and the congregation shall restore him to the city of his refuge, whither he was fled. And he shall abide in it unto the death of the high priest, which was anointed with the holy oil.
So if this was an accident, then there are certain things that are allotted for that. Go ahead.
But if the slayer shall at any time come without the border of the city of his refuge, whether he was fled, and the revenger of blood find him without the borders of the city of his refuge, and the revenger of blood kill the slayer, he shall not be guilty of blood. Because he should have remained in the city of his refuge until the death of the high priest. But after the death of the high priest, the slayer shall return into the land of his possession.
Right. So, if he come out of that land before he's supposed to, fair game. Go ahead.
So these things shall be for a statute of judgment unto you throughout your generations in all your dwellings.
What Yahweh is doing is giving enough time for the anger of that situation to die down. And see, what happens is, you know, you talking about somebody who has lost a loved one. How you going to tell them how long to be mad? Who the hell are you? How you going to tell them how long they supposed to be mad? So you might want to stay in that little place for that time, so that you don't have to deal with that revenge. Go ahead, bro.
You know, within this, what we are reading also too, we see how Yahweh is a just Elohim.
And understanding, what we have to understand is that he says, I made man in our image. He says point blank, he feels anger, aggression, jealousy. But, you know, men sometimes want to be so macho. They say, well, you know, I don't have those kind of feelings. Well, what were you made in? Who made you? Because Yahweh said he feel all those things. So if you don't feel those things, then you got a different daddy. Go ahead.
Verse 30. Whoso kills any person, the murderer shall be put to death by the mouth of witnesses. For one witness shall not testify against any person to cause him to die. Moreover, you shall take no satisfaction for the life of a murderer, which is guilty of death, but he shall be surely put to death.
Right. So there's certain things that happen here in this unjust legal system that we don't consider is as wicked as it is. Here we know that the death penalty or any of those things, they don't go equally hand in hand. It all depends on who gets murdered and who's doing the murdering. We know that in this twisted place. So there's a little bit of leeway on certain things. I remember looking at the news a couple weeks back. They were showing a picture of the man and the woman who killed their child. They showed them for a half of a second. Then they showed, of course, they were Gentile. And I mean, the guy got tattoos all over his face. They barely showed him. I mean, they showed pop. I mean, you could barely see him. By that time, his face gone. Black dude did something. They zoomed in on the picture, man. It looked like his whole face was in your living room. It took up 65 inches of television. And he did absolutely nothing like these two that did some wicked stuff to their child. They didn't zoom in on their faces. You can barely even see their faces. I'm talking quick. But see, there's a certain satisfaction that's had for certain murderers depending on who those murderers are. Go ahead.
Verse 32. And you shall take no satisfaction for him that is fled to the city of his refuge, that he should come again to dwell in the land until the death of the priest.
Now, understand something. That is regardless as to what is going on. See, what happens is we think we got reasons. Well, you know, my mama passed away. Or, you know, my dad, uncle, sister, brother farm had some issues on it, and I had to go over there and fix it. You going on over there and die. I don't care what your reason is. Leave the city of refuge and die. Simple as that. We think we have reasons why we can go against the statutes. Your reason gonna get you killed. Go ahead.
So you shall not pollute the land wherein you are, for blood it defiles the land, and the land cannot be cleansed of the blood that is shed therein, but by the blood of him that shed it.
Right. And what people's problem is, we believe that this statute has been done away with. No, it's still there. So what happens is there's blood that has been shed in a land, and it has defiled that land, and sooner or later Yahweh is going to execute judgment, not by the sacrifice of bulls and goats, but it's got to shed the blood of the very people who defiled it. So when you talk about him inviting all the nations to come up to Jerusalem, what do you think that's for? The land cannot be cleansed until it sheds the blood of the people who made it bloody. Why you think we gotta go, and why you think they gotta come? He said, all y'all come on. Every last one of y'all that helped defile the land, come on. Y'all gonna take a part in cleansing it. Then these things now fall in the line of being a sacrifice. Because you have to look at this. You have to think about how strange did Moshe feel about giving Israel, because all of this is delivered to Moshe. Moshe has delivered this to the people. Think about how he felt as he's delivering this to the people, knowing that he murdered a man. Now you have to see how Yahweh operate and make you do something, and you sitting there like, I don't know if I ought to be the one. You sure you won't get Aaron to say this? No, you say it. Yeah, but you know, back in back, you know that thing y'all did. Yeah, I know. I want you to say it. Yeah, but they remember, you remember, it's me. They remember that. Yeah, I know. That's why I want you to go say it. But see, now you got a situation where Yahweh was about to come and deal with them Egyptians anyway. But what was the difference? Oh, now it's sacrifice time. See, this is where, men without law are beasts anyway. So you got all these man beasts that's about to come up to the holy city and shed their blood to cleanse the holy city. So you need their blood. They need to be there. People keep saying, get them imposters out the land. No. No, leave them there. No. Somebody got to bleed to cleanse the place. Why people be talking about, oh, we got to go to the Holy Land. No, it's not holy yet. You know what I'm saying? It's a little blood got to be shed. Leave them right there. They are exactly what they need to be. Because you don't need to be trying to run and get nobody to get their blood over there. No, you just stay right there. We'll be there in a minute. Stay right there. Did you finish that, bro?
Verse 34. Defile not therefore the land which you shall inhabit, wherein I dwell. For I, Yahweh, dwell among the children of Israel.
All right. So let's go to Genesis chapter 49 so we can see that this setup was already there. And put a little mark in your book right there because we're going to come back to this part in Genesis 49. So place your marker there. We're going to do Genesis chapter 49 and verses 5 through 7.
Simeon and Levi are brethren. Instruments of cruelty are in their habitations.
Instruments of cruelty are in their habitations. Now, so what happened? Dinah, their sister, was raped. They end up tricking this whole town into getting circumcision. They waited till the men were sore and they went through and killed the whole town. So their sister got raped by one man and they killed the entire town. Not now, I understand we just read something about righteous judgment. Okay? The person that shed the blood is supposed to be dealt with. Not the whole town. So now everybody gotta die? So this is the way things were even set up before there was a law given. Everybody in the town is not responsible for what one individual did, and they know who the individual was. It wasn't like they had to go and look for this individual that committed this act. They knew who he was. They knew what he did. So this is where this statement, instruments of cruelty are in their habitations. Go ahead.
O my soul, come not you into their secret. Unto their assembly, mine honor. Be not you united. For in their anger they slew a man, and in their self-will they dig down a wall. Cursed be their anger, for it was fierce, and their wrath, for it was cruel.
Right. The retaliation was worse than the original thing that happened. Go ahead.
I will divide them in Jacob and scatter them in Israel.
So you have some things there. I will divide them in Jacob and scatter them in Israel. Not only was there a situation where Levi and Simeon are separated, but you have to look at Levi. They're completely scattered throughout the whole land. This happened in Genesis. Yahweh doesn't bring this forth to quite some time later. Let's go to Joshua chapter 21. Joshua chapter 21, and we're going to start this at verse 1. See, if we remember when we deal with the things of the apostle Paul, whom Christians really have an issue with because he bust up their doctrine, but you also have some Hebrew Israelites, especially those old covenant Hebrew Israelites who don't believe in the Messiah, or they have a real problem with the apostle Paul. They want to say he didn't exist. They want to say he's not this, he's not that. They have a real issue with him. And what happens for people to erase certain parts of the doctrine, they need to just erase certain people. Just take that person out and make them not a real apostle, and then you can ignore the a woman shall not usurp authority over a man. You can then ignore that a woman shall not teach in an assembly. You can ignore that the woman should have a head cover. You can just ignore that the woman should not speak during church. And all this stuff is in the New Testament. This is not Old Testament stuff. So then you got to find a problem with the person that spoke it so you can demonize that individual. This is what we watch on television when an unarmed black man gets shot. You get no information about the shooter. You get all the information about the person who got shot. Oh, he did this. When he was in the 7th grade, he skipped school. What? What they got to do as a grown man? I need to demonize this person as much. Then, only after they've demonized that person for a considerable amount of time, then you get to hear the name of the officer. They keep his name completely quiet until they have effectively demonized this individual. Oh, we heard he had marijuana in his system. You'll find that out the night he gets shot. You won't hear anything about the other individual for 3 to 4 months. But you have already formulated your thought process about the individual who got shot. That is done on purpose. And the same thing happens inside this book. They haven't changed their tactics. Same thing they use on Channel 5, they use right here dealing with this doctrine. They don't like the things that Saul says, so they demonize him while still dealing with other parts that they like. Go ahead.
Yeshua chapter 21 and verse 1. Then came near the heads of the fathers of the Levites unto Eleazar the priest, and unto Yeshua the son of Nun, and unto the heads of the fathers of the tribes of the children of Israel. And they spake unto them at Shiloh in the land of Canaan, saying, Yahweh commanded by the hand of Moshe to give us cities to dwell in, with the suburbs thereof for our cattle. And the children of Israel gave unto the Levites out of their inheritance, at the commandment of Yah, these cities and their suburbs. And the lot came out for the families of the Kohathites. And the children of Aaron the priests, which were of the Levites, had by lot out of the tribe of Yehudah, and out of the tribe of Simeon, and out of the tribe of Benjamin, 13 cities. And the rest of the children of Kohath had by lot out of the families of the tribe of Ephraim, and out of the tribe of Dan, and out of the half tribe of Manasseh, 10 cities.
Right. So then now their job includes the punishment from their first dealings. Yahweh deals, he doesn't, it may seem like Yahweh just let something go. He sit there. This stuff happened in Genesis. He said, I'm going to divide them in Israel. Now, it is part of their job. They couldn't be together. The Levites couldn't be together if they wanted to. A job has to be done, and it has to be done all over the land. Go ahead.
And the children of Gershon had by lot out of the families of the tribe of Issachar, and out of the tribe of Asher, and out of the tribe of Naphtali, and out of the half tribe of Manasseh in Bashan, 13 cities. The children of Merari, by their families, had out of the tribe of Reuben, and out of the tribe of Gad, and out of the tribe of Zebulun, 12 cities. And the children of Israel gave by lot unto the Levites these cities with their suburbs, as Yahweh commanded by the hand of Moshe. And they gave out of the tribe of the children of Yehudah, and out of the tribe of the children of Simeon, these cities which are here mentioned by name, which the children of Aaron, being of the family of the Kohathites, who were of the children of Levi, had, for theirs was the first lot.
So Kohath, it gets the first lot among the land. Go ahead.
And they gave them the city of Arba, the father of Anak, which city is Hebron, in the hill country of Yehudah, with the suburbs thereof round about it.
Right. So then what you read there is what the name of the city was before, and then what the name of the city is after Israel took it among themselves. Go ahead.
But the fields of the city and the villages thereof gave they to Caleb the son of Yephani for his possession. Thus they gave to the children of Aaron the priest Hebron with her suburbs to be a city of refuge for the slayer, and Libnah with her suburbs. and Yatir with her suburbs, and Eshtemoa with her suburbs.
Right. So the person that accidentally slays someone has to then leave wherever their land is and go and live with the priest. Go ahead.
And Holon with her suburbs, and Deber with her suburbs, and Ain with her suburbs, and Yota with her suburbs, and Bethmesh with her suburbs, 9 cities out of those 2 tribes.
Now, if you consider that even if the person was not put to death for a situation, but then they had to go and live in another land until the death of the high priest, don't you think that would make people be a little bit more careful about what it is they do? I mean, you gotta leave your land. You walking away from your place, and you gotta go live somewhere else. This priest may live another 45, 50 years. Right. See, you have people doing things with no concern about how it's going to affect their brother, how it's going to affect their sister. No concern whatsoever. Somebody tell you got to live somewhere for the next 50 years. I bet you it's going to be a little concern. Wait a minute, bro. Wait a minute. Make sure did we tighten this down? Did we tighten this down? Is that wheel loose? That wheel ain't loose, is it? Is the wheel loose? Look at the wheel. Is that wheel loose? Look at the wheel. Is the wheel loose? Did you check that wheel? Is that wheel loose? Did you check it? Did you check it? Did you check it? Did you check it? Yeah, did you check it? Is the wheel loose? What about that wheel? Anybody check that wheel? Hey man, 50 years a long time, bro. Go ahead.
Verse 17. And out of the tribe of Benjamin, Gibeon with her suburbs, Geba with her suburbs, Anathoth with her suburbs, and Elmon with her suburbs, 4 cities. All the cities of the children of Aaron, the priests, were 13 cities with their suburbs. And the families of the children of Kohath, the Levites which remained of the children of Kohath, even they had the cities of their lot out of the tribe of Ephraim. For they gave them Shechem with her suburbs and Mount Ephraim to be a city of refuge for the slayer, and Gezer with her suburbs, and Kibzaim with her suburbs, and Beth Haran with her suburbs, 4 cities. And out of the tribe of Dan, Eltekah with her suburbs, Gibbethon with her suburbs, Ayalon with her suburbs, Gath-Rimmon with her suburbs, 4 cities. And out of the half tribe of Manasseh, Tanakh with her suburbs, and Gath-Rimmon with her suburbs, 2 cities. All the cities were 10 with their suburbs for the families of the children of Kohath that remained. And out of the children of Gershon, of the families of the Levites, out of the other half tribe of Manasseh, they gave Golan and Bashan with her suburbs to be the city of refuge for the slayer, and Beshterah with her suburbs, 2 cities.
All right, jump down to verse 41. So we see that they're going through all of these lands, and Israel is spread out from one end. As far as the Levites, they are spread out amongst the entire land. And this goes back to a decision. And a lot of times people look at, the priests and they say, well, when it comes time for war, they won't go to war. But then you have to consider something. At some point, that war, when it's a spiritual war, it turns into a sacrifice. Consider when they came down and Israel had already set up that golden calf and they was out partying. Who went and made those slayings amongst Israel? Those are the Levites. He said, choose you this day every man that is on Yahweh's side. Them the Levites that went in there and started slaying their own brothers because of all of those that worship of that Egyptian god that they had got off into. So don't get it twisted and say, okay, well, these priests, they're not gonna do anything. Yahweh, no. Yahweh said, look here. So y'all like shedding blood? All right, good deal. You're gonna be shedding blood for the rest of your life. That is, y'all like stab stuff, don't you? Y'all like stab stuff. Y'all like stabbing. I will cut up these animals for the rest of your life. You cut these animals, drain the blood out, and put them right there on the grill. Go ahead. I want you to do that forever. What's I thought you like blood, right? You like blood, right? You shedding blood, right? Yeah, but that's your job. That's your job. You're going to shed blood as long as you on this earth. Done deal. Go ahead.
Verse 41. All the cities of the Levites within the possession of the children of Israel were 48 cities with their suburbs. These cities were everyone with their suburbs round about them. Thus were all these cities. And Yahweh gave unto Israel all the land which he sware to give unto their fathers, and they possessed it, and dwelt therein. And Yahweh gave them rest round about, according to all that he sware unto their fathers, and there stood not a man of all their enemies before them. Yahweh delivered all their enemies into their hand. There failed not aught out of any good thing which Yahweh had spoken unto the house of Israel. All came to pass.
All right. So now, we see the thing about the Levites, then that is dealing with the priests. So now let's go back to Genesis chapter 49, where you should have your marker there. Let's go to Genesis 49, and let's read verses 8 through 12.
Yehuda, you are he whom your brethren shall praise.
Now, these are things that Jacob is giving the blessing amongst all his children. All right, these 12 sons make up the 12 tribes of Israel. And don't get it twisted. It ain't like he just walked by and said a whole bunch of nice stuff because they his children. He started off with the first one and said, Reuben, you are my firstborn, the beginning of my strength, and unstable as water. That's what he said about his child. Unstable as water. Now, for that reason, a lot of people gonna be like, well, I don't want to be from the tribe of Reuben. I don't want to be. But y'all know for a fact that we have people of Israel that is crazy as kitty litter. Y'all know it. Everybody ain't come from Judah, okay? Right, them our people too. Them and all they wackiness. Them your folk. Hey, you go to family reunion and you watch. Look, don't let the kids go in there with Uncle Joe. He not right. Don't go in there. You know that what? You just learn how to work around it. You just keep going back in there checking. All right, Uncle Joe's still okay. He's still sitting in that chair right there. If he around the kids for 5 minutes, they're gonna be doing something absolutely foul. Who gave you them matches and that gas? Uncle Joe did. You don't know not to leave him around the kids. Right. Go ahead.
Your hand shall be in the neck of your enemies. Your father's children shall bow down before you.
Right. So it is Yehuda's destiny to do this fighting. So when you get down to prophecies of what's going to take place later on in the book, it is already decided at the beginning of the book. Who gonna do what? Go ahead.
Yehuda is a lion's whelp.
Uh-huh.
From the prey, my son, you are gone up. He stooped down, he couched as a lion, and as an old lion, who shall rouse him up?
Automatically using the thing of the lion, understanding that the lion is the king of the beasts. Whoever gonna run up on the lion, they got to bring their whole squad. They don't just, ain't no animal go toe to toe with a lion. Them hyenas will go at him, but they got about 30. They got about 30 of them. It's about 30 of them. It's about 30. And it's 30 of them on one line. But let them women come back around now and they see them lionesses. Them hyenas be like, they got out of there. They like, no, them sisters don't play. No, they out. Right. That's attributed to Yehuda. Then what did they say about Yahshua? He's the lion of the lion tribe. So you got Yehuda, the lion tribe, and Yahshua is the lion of the lion tribe. Right. He alpha male. Go ahead.
Verse 10. The scepter shall not depart from Yehuda.
The scepter is what kings have. This is rulership. So now this Yehuda is what? Fourth born? This ain't firstborn. Remember now, firstborn is unstable as water.
Hmm.
So Now you got rulership coming from this fourth child. You have this scepter. So the kingship, before they're ever decided to become a nation, the kings of the nation have already been chosen. I keep telling people in Genesis, it's full of prophecy. People have no idea the amount of prophecy that's in Genesis. They all in Jeremiah talking about prophecy. Prophecy in the first book. He has already decided who the kings are. Why do you think the most horrible king we ever had came out of a different tribe? He came out of Benjamin. That's what Saul was. He was a Benjamite. Absolutely horrible. But Yahweh wasn't ready to give him no king yet. He was going to give him a king on his time. Our problem is we don't like Yahweh's time. Go ahead.
Nor lawgiver from between his feet until Shiloh come. And unto him shall the gathering of the people be, binding his foal onto the vine and his ass colt onto the choice vine.
Right. So why do you think the Messiah came in on the ass colt? That prophecy. Genesis 49, and we dealing with Yahshua. They think he just went and got on the donkey because he ain't, you know what I'm saying, he ain't had nothing else to do. You know what I'm saying? He didn't, you know what I'm saying, he wasn't busy that day. He was like, you know what I'm saying, let me ride the ass colt. You know what I'm saying? Let's just get on it. You know what I'm saying? I ain't got nothing else to do. No, man. This stuff was already said in Genesis. So people think they're just doing some stuff. No, you're not just doing some stuff. You have been pushed to do some stuff depending on where you stand and what your job is. Go ahead.
He washed his garments in wine and his clothes in the blood of grapes. His eyes shall be red with wine.
No, he's not going to drink no wine. Not the Messiah. He's holier than holy. He can't be drinking no wine. You know, and this is his eyes red with wine. That's a lot of wine. He sounds like he's just a tad bit tipsy. He got red eyes. Go ahead.
And his teeth white with milk.
All right, let's go to 1 Chronicles Chapter 17. And keep your place there in Genesis right there. 1 Chronicles Chapter 17. See, that's also one of those things where we being ignorant of Elohim's righteousness, that we want to make some kind of righteousness of our own. So we just decide that the Messiah would make wine out of water, but he wouldn't dare drink it. How dare he? That would just be wrong. Right. That's our righteousness that we've made of our own mind. Not the righteousness of Yahweh. Because these sacrifices were to come with flagons of wine. 1 Chronicles chapter 17, and let's read verses 1 through 15.
Now it came to pass, as Dawid sat in the house that Dawid said to Nathan the prophet, Lo, I dwell in an house of cedars, but the ark of the covenant of Yah remains under curtains. Then Nathan said unto Dawid, Do all that is in your heart, for Elohim is with you. And it came to pass the same night that the word of Elohim came to Nathan, saying, Go and tell Dawid my servant, thus says Yah, You shall not build me an house to dwell in. For I have not dwelt in an house since the day that I brought up Israel up unto this day, but have gone from tent to tent, and from one tabernacle to another.
Right. When you understand the wars that Dawid had to fight to unify the land of Israel, that in its sense cannot be looked at as a sacrificial thing. That was complete and utter war to set up the nation itself. Yahweh decided he had shed too much blood. He was a man after Yahweh's own heart, a man that Yahweh cared about. But with that amount of blood, he could not build the temple. Go ahead.
Verse 6. Wheresoever I have walked with all Israel, spake I a word to any of the judges of Israel, whom I commanded to feed my people, saying, Why have you not built me an house of cedars? Now therefore thus shall you say unto my servant Dawid, Thus said the Yahweh of hosts, I took you from the sheepcote, even from following the sheep, that you should be ruler over my people Israel.
And those in contrast are two very different things. I took you from taking care of the sheep to being a ruler over the people. Now, although it was some learning parts in understanding and following those sheep. Sheep that can't really see that good. They go off and get themselves into all kind of trouble. They can't protect themselves. He end up having to fight off ravenous beasts to keep from eating the sheep. So it ends up being practice for watching over Israel. Sometimes you got to stop ravenous beasts at the door. We had to do it all the time. A ravenous beast will be standing at that door trying to get in, and we said, no, you can't come in here today. And they show up growling. What you trying to do? I'm trying to eat one of them sheep in there. No, you can't come in. We had to stop some ravenous beasts at the door. Go ahead.
And I have been with you whithersoever you have walked, and have cut off all your enemies from before you, and have made you a name like the name of the great men that are in the earth. Also I will ordain a place for my people Israel, and will plant them, and they shall dwell in their place, and shall be moved no more. Neither shall the children of wickedness waste them any more, as at the beginning. And since the time that I commanded judges to be over my people Israel, moreover, I will subdue all your enemies. Furthermore, I tell you that Yahweh will build you an house. And it shall come to pass, when your days be expired, that you must go to be with your fathers, that I will raise up your seed after you.
So when your days are expired, you must go to be with your fathers. Is he talking about going to heaven? His father's buried in the ground. Go ahead.
It shall be of your sons, and I'll establish his kingdom. He shall build me an house, and I will establish his throne forever. I will be his father, and he shall be my son. I will not take my mercy away from him, as I took it from him that was before you. But I will settle him in mine house and in my kingdom forever, and his throne shall be established forevermore.
Right. So then we see that all kings were then called, kings of Yehuda, were called the son of David, because it was through his lineage that all of the kings would come through. So coming out of Yehuda, then he picked the house of David. This will now be the kingship forever. All of the kings will end up being a son of David through his lineage. Go ahead.
According to all these words and according to all these visions, so did Nathan speak unto David.
All right. So then we have to go and deal with some other things here. Let's go to Judges chapter 20. And I'm going to come back to this note that I got. We should be at slide number 8. Because I'm going to come back to that. Judges chapter 20. Judges chapter 20, and we're going to read verses 12 through 28.
Verse 12. And the tribes of Israel sent men through all the tribe of Benjamin.
So now we're about to deal with Benjamin. So then we have the priests, which were the Levites. You understand why they was spread all the way out through Israel. The prophecy was given in Genesis 49. Then we understand where the kingship is coming through the house of David. After he desired to build Yahweh a house, Yahweh said, I'm going to build you a house. So now all of the kings will be of his lineage. So we understand then that's the kings and the priests as we deal with within the whole breakdown of Israel, where those kings and those priests come from. So now let's deal with those warriors. Go ahead.
Saying, what wickedness is this that is done among you. Now therefore deliver us the men, the children of Belial, which are in Gibeah, that we may put them to death, and put away evil from Israel. But the children of Benjamin would not hearken to the voice of their brethren, the children of Israel.
Right. So then there are men that have done some foul things. All Benjamin had to do was give up the men who did the foul thing. But they said, no, we're going to protect them. We are not going to give you these men so that they can be dealt with justly. So at this point, Benjamin now takes the sin unto himself by not delivering the man. Remember, you shall have no favor unto the wicked slayer. They have shown favor, and they're going to protect the situation. So now some things got to break off. Go ahead.
You know, just like today's modern day law, if you harbor a fugitive, you can go to jail too.
Yes, you can. And I've known some people who got yoked up for that. I'm talking about they showing the person on TV saying they're looking for such and such, and he's sitting off in somebody's basement. And when they called him, hey, that person who house they was in, they hauled them in too. Go ahead.
Verse 14. But the children of Benjamin gathered themselves together out of the cities unto Gibeah to go out to battle against the children of Israel. And the children of Benjamin were numbered at that time out of the cities 26,000 men that drew swords, beside the inhabitants of Gibeah, which were numbered 700 chosen men. Among all this people, there were 700 chosen men left-handed. Every one could sling stones at an hairbreadth and not miss.
So then they had a very keen physical ability to do bodily harm. You just find out some people just gifted. When you see some brothers, you can teach them certain things about football, and another dude, you just give him, put football in his hand, and he run over everybody. And it's like, we ain't taught him nothing. We just put the football in his hand, and he ran over everybody. Other people, you give them a basketball, and they jump from the free throw line and dunk. It's like, where you learn how to do that? I don't know, I just felt like doing it when the ball was in my hand. What? Yes. And then there's some people that you put them in a corner and they just beat the hell out of everybody in the room. There's just a keen gift for beating the crap out of people. Well, Benjamin just happens to have that gift. And y'all know we run up on those within our folk that they just, not only they like fighting, because they good at it. They just fight. And they look for fight. They just walk around. Look, what? You said something? Oh, okay, I thought you said something. Oh, okay, I thought you said something. Because it was about to be something. You know, they gifted in that area, and they want to use their gift. Go ahead.
And the men of Israel, beside Benjamin, were numbered 400,000 men that drew swords. All these were men of war. And the children of Israel arose and went up to the house of Elohim and asked counsel of Elohim and said, which of us shall go up first to battle against the children of Benjamin?
Now, if I hadn't learned that now, what I learned is to be pinpoint, precise, and exact when I ask Yahweh something. The question, which of us shall go up first to the battle? Now, I want you to pay attention to what happens afterward. Go ahead.
And Yahweh said, Yehuda shall go up first.
Yeah, y'all the kings. What are you talking about? Y'all the lawgiver? The scepter shall not depart from Yehuda. By God, it should be you. Go on up there and take care of that business. Go ahead.
And the children of Israel rose up in the morning and encamped against Gibeah. And the men of Israel went out to battle against Benjamin.
Now, if you remember looking at that land, you remember Benjamin, they said little Benjamin. You saw how little that land was? It was a very, very small little sliver that was their land. And it's right among Yehuda. Okay? Right by it. Go ahead.
And the men of Israel put themselves in array to fight against them at Gibeah. And the children of Benjamin came forth out of Gibeah, and destroyed down to the ground of the Israelites that day 22,000 men.
Right. Little Benjamin done killed 22,000. Go ahead.
And the people, the men of Israel, encouraged themselves.
They encouraged. Now they got to get themselves a pep talk. You know what I'm saying? Because they done went down there and Benjamin done told them up. Now, here come your motivational speaking. You can do this. You are more than conquerors. You know what I'm saying? Yeah. So they got to get themselves ready in their head now, because they wasn't ready for that whooping. So they thought for sure, you know what I'm saying, Yahweh's on our side. I mean, we the lawgiver. You know, we Judah. You know, we got power. We finna go down here. We finna take care of this little baby brother. So baby brother done whooped them up. Okay, here we go again. Go ahead.
And set their battle again in array in the place where they put themselves in array the first day. And the children of Israel went up and wept before Yahweh until even, and asked counsel of Yah, saying, Shall I go up again to battle against the children of Benjamin, my brother? And Yahweh said, Go up against them.
Yahweh said, go up against them. So this time, the question was a little bit more direct. Okay? Shall I go? The first question was, who shall go first? You should have been asking, shall I go first? You see how question number 2 really should have been question number 1? It wasn't, should I go up to war against my brother? Hey, which one of us should go up first? Y'all were like, okay, well, you bad there. You bad, which one should go first? Okay, you're not going to ask me, should you go? You're going to ask me, which one of y'all should go first? All right. Well, you king, you the first one to die. Go ahead. Keep reading.
And the children of Israel came there against the children of Benjamin the second day. And Benjamin went forth against them out of Gibeah the second day, and destroyed down to the ground of the children of Israel again 18,000 men. All these drew the sword.
Right. So the death toll is rising greatly. Now understand what this whole thing is about. This is about some evil that somebody else did. Benjamin didn't even do it. But Benjamin is protecting the people that did it. Go ahead.
And all the children of Israel and all the people went up and came unto the house of Elohim and wept and sat there before Yahweh and fasted that day until even.
So now, as they are seeking Elohim, you notice how they seek Elohim is going up a level. First, I asked, kind of arrogantly, which one of us ought to go first. Then we're going to humble ourselves a little bit. Should I go? Next time, I ain't going to eat nothing. Yahweh. Oh, okay, now you want to talk to me. See, now we can talk. See, now you approaching me in the right manner. See, that arrogant way that you approached me before got your tail handed to you. But Yahweh won't stop you if you want to go out and get your tail handed to you. He'll give you the plane ticket. You want to do what? All right, well, go there and I got discount on the thing going on out there. They're going to tell you what. Go ahead. Oh, you bad. Go ahead.
And fasted that day until even, and offered burnt offering and peace offering.
Oh, see, they taking care of the business now. See, now we're going to approach the right way. See, all it takes is a little bit of high tearing. You know, little change of perspective. See, that's what our issue is. That's why our perspective ain't right. You ain't got tore up yet. Let a few tear-ups happen and your perspective has a way of changing. Go ahead.
And the children of Israel inquired of Yah, for the ark of the covenant of Elohim was there in those days. And Phinehas, the son of Eleazar, the son of Aaron, stood before it in those days, saying, Shall I yet again go out to battle against the children of Benjamin, my brother, or shall I cease?
Oh, even the question has got other words in it as we go. See, we're going to come in a better way, and we have a more direct question. Go ahead.
And Yahweh said, Go up, for tomorrow I will deliver them into your hand.
That's what you need to learn to listen to. See, before Yahweh said, Go up. Shall it go again? Go on again then. Shall I go up or shall I see? Go up. I'm going to deliver them your hand. See, I would have needed to hear that. Excuse me. I didn't hear the part where you was going to deliver them. I missed that part. You would Yahweh, I'm sorry. Could you say that again? Let's sleep on it another night, y'all. Yahweh, what you had said was go up, but I didn't hear the part, where you was going to, deliver, them into my hand. So I'm gonna wait another night. Right. See, not only do our prayers have to be pinpoint and exact, but we have to then think about even how the things were given. Now, if you remember, this was one of the notes that we had on one of the other things in Genesis. Matter of fact, let's go back to Genesis 49. You should have your mark already there. And I want you to read this thing that it says in verse 27 about Benjamin.
Verse 27.
Yep.
Benjamin shall raven as a wolf.
He shall raven as a wolf. Wolves are hunters. Okay? There are people who, when the wolves go, you might think you got away. But they got like lead wolves, right? So the wolf running and you see the wolf to the left, so then you turn to the right. You don't know. No, that's his job. His job is to force you right. He's not there. He's not your attacker. He is just a dude that drives you in. They work as a team. So they draw you in, push you in. So you start turning to where the wolf is pushing you, only to find out that he just drew you into about 12 more wolves. You've been better off dealing with the one wolf who's over here. His whole job is to go beside you, and he start boom, turning you, and he turn you into all his brothers over there, and they tear you to pieces. These brothers were warriors. We're talking about all the rest of Israel running down on this one tribe who just happened to have a significant amount of left-handed dudes who can throw a stone from anywhere and hit whatever it was they were throwing at. But when it came down to being kings, they didn't fit the bill. Saul was a Benjamite, and that's what we wanted. We wanted a tall, mean-looking, warrior-looking brother as a king. Yahweh, no. That ain't gonna work. But that's what we chose, and it worked out horrible for us. But the kings direct the warriors. So they need to be together. But the warrior can't necessarily be the king. That's the part that we are not dealing with. Go ahead.
I was just going to say, just the beauty of how Yahweh works. He actually gave them the opportunity to be kings first, just to turn around and show them that, see? Because y'all have the might to fight and overthrow the kingdom. Let me show y'all that.
It takes more than that to rule, just than the ability to fight. Yes, they can fight. But when you get down to it, Saul made horrible decisions. Absolutely horrible. But it come down to fight. Benjamites were good fighters. Now, go ahead and read the rest of that.
In the morning he shall devour the prey, and at night he shall divide the spoil.
All right. So now let's go to 1 Chronicles chapter 12. First Chronicles chapter 12, and let's read verses 1 through 2.
Now these are they that came to David to Ziklag.
Now, as the way Yahweh grew King David was by everybody else's misfortune. So in other places, these men would suffer some issues. They would then be forced away from their land. These would then become some of his mighty men and warriors. So Yahweh was giving them hard time so that they would go out and help David, his king, the king that he had chosen, not the king that the people had chosen. So sometimes we end up having these hard times, we end up having these issues, and these issues are to push us in a direction that we would not ordinarily go in. Now, hindsight is always, 2020. And it always seems like it makes sense after the fact. But it still hurts your feelings to go through those situations that's meant to push you in a direction that you would not have ordinarily gone in. Go ahead.
Now these are they that came to Dawid to Ziklag, while he yet kept himself close because of Saul the son of Kish. And they were among the mighty men, helpers of the war.
These were mighty men. Go ahead.
They were armed with bows and could use both the right hand and the left in hurling stones and shooting arrows out of a bow, even of Saul's brethren of Benjamin.
Even of Saul's brother of Benjamin, these brothers that had a keen ability for war, they were sent to Dawid. They had all kind of issues and had to leave where they were and ended up where he was. And I'm talking about being able to do all of these great things with the left hand and the right hand. Now read the this note under it. It's in Genesis 43. You ain't got to go there. It's on the graphic.
Wait the note.
You don't see it up under?
I don't have it on the papers, bro.
Man, yes, you do, bro. What paper you got?
No.
You ain't got no paper?
No.
That's the problem, bro. That's why you ain't got no note. Genesis 43 and 34 says, and he took and sent the message. This is when Israel ended up going down to meet their brother Joseph. And it says, and he took and sent messages unto them from before him. And this is their food. All right. But Benjamin's mess was 5 times as much as any of theirs. So Benjamin didn't even eat like everybody else. He fight like nobody business, and he eat like nobody business too. So he done ate 5 people worth of food. The rest of them just sitting there looking at him. When is he gonna stop eating? Right. And we know them amongst us. See? You got some people now trying to put back their 3rd plate. Oh man, wait a minute, I'm not hungry anymore. Yes, you are. Yes, you are. Don't try to act now. Don't try to put up the 3rd plate, because you were just now getting started. You don't stop till 4.5. Right. Right. See, there's certain things that is a part of us, and we trying to figure out why. See? We're trying to figure out why those things are there. Let's go to First Kings chapter 11. First Kings 11, and we're going to start that at verse 1.
But King Shlomo loved many strange women, together with the daughter of Pharaoh, women of the Moabites, Ammonites, Edomites, Zidonians, and Hittites.
This is where sometimes doing something great can also cause you a situation where you fall just as much as you stood. Building this temple was like the greatest accomplishment of Israel ever. But then what he got off into basically cut him down worse than how he had been built up. Go ahead.
Of the nations concerning which Yahweh said unto the children of Israel, you shall not go into them, neither shall they come in unto you. For surely they will turn away your heart after their gods. Shlomo clave unto these in love. And he had 700 wives, princesses, and 300 concubines, and his wives turned away his heart.
So his heart was turned away in 1,000 different directions. What's left for Yahweh? Go ahead.
For it came to pass when Shlomo was old, that his wives turned away his heart after other gods, and his heart was not perfect with Yahweh his Elohim, as was the heart of Dawid his father. For Shlomo went after Ashtaroth, the goddess of the Zidonians, and after Milcom, the abomination of the Ammonites.
And understand, Dawid fell and did some things that he should not have done, but when you talk about worshiping other gods, Dawid forced all of that out of his land. He didn't deal with any of that. Go ahead.
And Shlomo did evil in the sight of Yahweh, and went not fully after Yahweh, as Dawid his father.
Right. Everything that he had gotten came from Yahweh. All the money, all the substance that he then used to worship other gods came from Yahweh. Go ahead.
Then did Shlomo build an high place for Chemosh, the abomination of Moab, in the hill that is before Jerusalem, and for Molech, the abomination of the children of Ammon. And likewise did he for all his strange wives, which burnt incense and sacrificed unto their gods.
So you can see how the wives start to pull his heart.
You built this old fine house for the God of Israel. Can't you just build a small house for Chemosh? Can't you just build a small house for Ashtaroth?
What?
I mean, you did that great thing over there for Yahweh. Surely you got, some substance for something.
Got him. Go ahead.
And Yahweh was angry with Shlomo, because his heart was turned from Yahweh Elohim of Israel, which had appeared unto him twice, and had commanded him concerning this thing, that he should not go after other gods. But he kept not that which Yahweh commanded.
Right. Yahweh had already said, don't go unto these strange women, because they're going to turn your heart against me. But Yahweh still stood back and watched him get 1,000 wives. Yahweh had to see the wrong, at some point way before 1,000. But Yahweh sit there and just let you keep going. Okay, well, go ahead then. You bad? Go ahead. You got some more? Well, go ahead then. Right, and he's scheduling your funeral. Go ahead.
Verse 11. Wherefore Yahweh said unto Shlomo, for as much as this is done of you, and you have not kept my covenant and my statutes, which I have commanded you, I will surely rend the kingdom from you, and will give it to your servant.
I will give it to your servant. And a servant, when he comes to rule, is absolutely wicked with power, because he's not accustomed to power. So he doesn't deal with it in a righteous manner. Go ahead.
Notwithstanding, in your days I will not do it for Dawid your father's sake, but I will rend it out of the hand of your son. Howbeit, I will not rend away all the kingdom, but will give one tribe to your son for Dawid my servant's sake, and for Jerusalem's sake, which I have chosen. And Yahweh stirred up an adversary unto Shlomo, Hadad the Edomite. He was of the king's seed in Edom.
Right. So then once you get off the path that you're supposed to be on, all of a sudden, Yahweh starts stirring up enemies for you. So you look, and people keep doing stuff that ain't got no business. Before you know it, friends leaving and other friends coming in. Why your friends keep leaving? Why you keep having issues? Right. Yahweh starts stirring that pot. Okay. You have a hard time following instructions. So let me go ahead and send you a little vexation of spirit. I'm going to go ahead and stir up this mess over here, and I'm going to give it your address. And I mean, they angry. They wound up. And once he get done winding them up,
28:16, Fletcher Way. Go ahead.
where you going? Oh, you going to your house? Right. Go ahead.
For it came to pass, when Dawid was in Edom, and Joab the captain of the host was gone up to bury the slain, after he had smitten every male in Edom, for 6 months did Joab remain there with all Israel, until he had cut off every male in Edom, that Hadad fled, he and certain Edomites of his father's servants, which with him, to go into Egypt, Hadad being yet a little child.
So then this person has had hatred for Dawid his entire life. Now, it would have just stayed where it was and he wouldn't have had any issue. But because they didn't do what they're supposed to do, some stuff that you think is long gone. It wasn't but one dude. We killed everybody except this one that got away. It's the one that got away that Yahweh gonna bring back 40, 50 years later. And here come all hell breaking loose. All because what was supposed to be done wasn't done. Go ahead.
And they arose out of Midian, and came to Paran. And they took men with them out of Paran. And they came to Egypt, unto Pharaoh king of Egypt. which gave him an house, and appointed him victuals, and gave him land. And Hadad found great favor in the sight of Pharaoh, so that he gave him to wife the sister of his own wife, the sister of Taphanes the queen. And the sister of Taphanes bare him Genubath his son, whom Taphanes weaned in Pharaoh's house, and Genubath was in Pharaoh's household among the sons of Pharaoh. And when Hadad heard in Egypt that Dawid slept with his fathers, and that Joab the captain of the host was dead, Hadad said to Pharaoh, let me depart, that I might go to mine own country.
Right. Because these two people, the king and his head general, is gone. Now, I want to go back. Go ahead.
Then Pharaoh said unto him, but what have you lacked with me, that, behold, you seeketh to go to your own country? And he answered, nothing. Howbeit, let me go in anywise. And Elohim stirred up another adversary, Rezin the son of Eliada, which fled from his master Hadadezer, king of Zobah. And he gathered men unto him, and became captain over a band, when Dawid slew them of Zobah. And they went to Damascus, and dwelt therein, and reigned in Damascus.
And he gathered men unto him and became captain over a band when Dawid slew them of Zobah. So in all of these places where things were done in the past, long ago, supposed to be done, dealt with, and buried, Yahweh resurrecting all of them because of what they didn't do right now. All of a sudden, these one man left is turning into a complete and utter army. But see, we so stubborn and arrogant, can't nobody tell us that we have not completely buried this thing. This thing done one dude, man. You know what I'm saying? We killed like 10,000 men, man. It's just one little baby, man. It's one little baby. It's one little baby. Well, guess what happened? That grew into a grown man. Okay? And the only thing he's thinking about his entire life is killing you. This is the only thing that keeps him going in the morning and keeps him going to bed at night. And now because of something that you have not done way over here, now Yahweh's about to wake up an enemy who should have long been in your past. Go ahead.
Verse 25. And he was an adversary to Israel all the days of Shlomo, beside the mischief that Hadad did. And he abhorred Israel and reigned over Syria. And Jeroboam the son of Nebat, an Ephrathite of Zerida, Shlomo's servant, whose mother's name was Zeruiah, a widow woman, even he lifted up his hand against the king. And this was the cause that he lifted up his hand against the king. Shlomo built Millo and repaired the breaches of the city of Dawid his father. And the man Jeroboam was a mighty man of valor. And Shlomo, seeing the young man that he was industrious, he made him ruler over all the charge of the house of Yosef. And it came to pass at that time, when Jeroboam went out of Jerusalem, that the prophet Ahiah, the Shilonite, found him in the way, and he had clad himself with a new garment, and they two were alone in the field. And Ahiah caught the new garment that was on him, and rent it in 12 pieces. And he said to Jeroboam, take you 10 pieces, for thus says Yah, the Elohim of Israel, behold, I will rend the kingdom out of the hand of Shlomo, and will give 10 tribes to you. But he shall have 1 tribe for my servant Dawid's sake, and for Jerusalem's sake, the city which I have chosen out of all the tribes of Israel.
So that's not even an even split. So most everybody going over here. I'm gonna give him 1 tribe. Go ahead.
Because that they have forsaken me, and have worshipped Ashtaroth, the goddess of the Zidonians, Chemosh, the god of the Moabites, and Milcom, the god of the children of Ammon, and have not walked in my ways, to do that which is right in mine eyes, and to keep my statutes and my judgments, as did Dawid his father.
Right. So then as he allowed those things to go among Israel, then Israel got off into him as well. Go ahead.
Howbeit, I will not take the whole kingdom out of his hand, but I will make him prince all the days of his life for Dawid my servant's sake, whom I chose, because he kept my commandment and my statutes. But I will take the kingdom out of his son's hand, and will give it unto you, even 10 tribes. And unto his son will I give 1 tribe, that David my servant may have a light always before me in Jerusalem, the city which I have chosen me to put my name there.
Right. And there was a question asked. A sister had asked, was there any like one event that the nations would be able to tell, like when Yahweh completely turned against Israel and we were, kind of open, fair game? At the point when one kingdom becomes two and then you start fighting, a divided house shall not stand. The nation of Israel end up turning into a northern kingdom and a southern kingdom, and then they fought against each other. What you think our enemies were doing? Oh, they fighting each other? Oh man, I can't wait to go down there. We can go down there and take some of that stuff. Because they have divided their own strength. See, it's strength in numbers. They divided their own strength because they're fighting one another. So now they're going to be that much easier for us to go down there and conquer them. And that's exactly what the nations did. Came in and picked us apart. Go ahead.
And I'll take you, and you shall reign according to all that your soul desires, and shall be king over Israel. And it shall be, if you will hearken unto all that I command you, and will walk in my ways, and do that is right in my sight, to keep my commandments, to keep my statutes, and my commandments, as David my servant did, that I will be with you, and build you a sure house, as I built for David, and will give Israel unto you. And I will for this afflict the seed of David, but not forever. Shlomo sought therefore to kill Jeroboam, and Jeroboam arose and fled into Egypt, unto Shishak king of Egypt, and was in Egypt until the death of Shlomo.
Right. So then we think if we're going to kill the person who going to inherit it, then we can stop it from happening. No, you ain't. Yahweh just going to pick somebody else. See, that's folks think they're going to be slick. Well, I'm going to cut this off so this can't happen. Yeah, and then it'll just be given to the dude standing next to him. Go ahead.
And the rest of the acts of Shlomo, and all that he did, and his wisdom, are they not written in the book of the acts of Shlomo? And the time that Shlomo reigned in Jerusalem over all Israel was 40 years. And Shlomo slept with his fathers, and was buried in the city of David his father, and Rehoboam his son reigned in his stead.
All right. Let's go to chapter 12 and read verses 16 through 33.
1 Kings chapter 12 and verse 16. So when all Israel saw that the king hearkened not unto them, the people answered the king, saying, What portion have we in David? Neither have we inheritance in the son of Jesse. To your tents, O Israel. Now see to your own house, David. So Israel departed unto their tents. But as for the children of Israel which dwelt in the cities of Yehuda, Rehoboam reigned over them. Then King Rehoboam sent Adoram, who was over the tribute, and to all Israel, and all Israel stoned him with stones, that he died. Therefore King Rehoboam made speed to get up to his chariot to flee to Jerusalem.
Then King Rehoboam sent Adoram, who was over the tribute, and all Israel stoned him with stone. If he's over the tribute, he went to either try to go pick up some money, and they gave him stones instead. That took care of that business. That let them people know exactly what you're thinking right there. Go ahead.
So Israel rebelled against the house of David unto this day. And it came to pass, when all Israel heard that Jeroboam was come again, that they sent and called him unto the congregation, and made him king over all Israel. There was none that followed the house of David, but the tribe of Yehuda only. And when Rehoboam was come to Jerusalem, he assembled all the house of Yehuda with the tribe of Benjamin.
Right. So then this is where you have Benjamin being with Yehuda. And we know that they're a small tribe, but we do know that they are very, very fierce warriors when it comes down to that. Go ahead.
180,000 chosen men, which were warriors to fight against the house of Israel, to bring the kingdom again to Rehoboam, the son of Shlomo. But the word of Elohim came unto Shemaiah, the man of Elohim, saying, Speak unto Rehoboam, the son of Shlomo, king of Yehuda, and unto all the house of Yehuda and Benjamin, and to the remnant of the people, saying, This says Yah, you shall not go up nor fight against your brethren, the children of Israel. Return every man to his house, for this thing is from me. They hearkened therefore to the word of Yah, and returned to depart according to the word of Yah.
Right. So they're thinking that, hey, we should go back and set this in order. And Yahweh said, this is his thing. You're not going to change this. Go ahead.
And Jeroboam built Shechem in Mount Ephraim, and dwelt therein, and went out from thence, and built Penuel. And Jeroboam said in his heart, now shall the kingdom return to the house of David. If this people go up to do sacrifice in the house of Yah at Jerusalem, then shall the heart of this people turn again unto their master, even unto Rehoboam king of Yehuda, and they shall kill me, and go again to Rehoboam king of Yehuda. Whereupon the king took counsel, and made 2 calves of gold.
Right. So understand then, you have these situations where there are these appearances, there's these things that will then be kept at the main house. And he says, all right, I got to make sure that they don't go up to make these appearances and do these things, and then they remember this is where we're supposed to be. So I'm gonna present them a nice substitute. Go ahead.
And said unto them, it is too much for you to go up to Jerusalem. Behold your gods, O Israel, which brought you up out of the land of Egypt. And he set the one in Bethel, and the other put he in Dan. And this thing became a sin, for the people went to worship before the one, even unto Dan.
Right. So instead of going up to Jerusalem to make your appearance, let's go up and worship the bull. That way, I ain't got to worry about you going over there, and then, you realizing or falling back in love with the real order of Israel, being that Yehuda is the king, that you start following them. Go ahead.
And he made an house of high places, and made priests of the lowest of the people, which were not of the sons of Levi.
Right. Go ahead.
And Jeroboam ordained a feast in the 8th month, on the 15th day of the month, like unto the feast that is in Yehuda, and he offered upon the altar. So did he in Bethel, sacrificing unto the calves that he had made. And he placed in Bethel the priest of the high places which he had made. So he offered upon the altar which he had made in Bethel the 15th day of the 8th month, even in the month which he had devised of his own heart, and ordained a feast unto the children of Israel, and he offered upon the altar and burnt incense.
Right. So this is making their own holy day. And people want to know why we don't keep days that are not ordained in Yahweh's word. Israel had a real problem with just making days. They just make a day. We're just going to make a feast. We're going to make this a holy day. We're going to do this. So he has devised this thing out of his own heart. But the whole thing is to cut off the real priests of Yahweh by presenting these other little priests who are basically men that are going to do whatever it is he wants them to do. Let's go to 2 Chronicles chapter 11. Second Chronicles chapter 11, and let's start that at verse 1.
And when Rehoboam was come to Jerusalem, he gathered of the house of Yehuda and Benjamin 180,000 chosen men, which were warriors, to fight against Israel, that he might bring the kingdom again to Rehoboam. But the word of Yahweh came to Shemaiah, the man of Elohim, saying, Speak unto Rehoboam, the son of Shlomo, king of Yehuda, and to all Israel in Yehuda and Benjamin, saying, Thus says Yah, you shall not go up nor fight against your brethren. Return every man to his house, for this thing is done of me. And they obeyed the words of Yah and returned from going against Jeroboam. And Rehoboam dwelt in Jerusalem and built cities for defense in Yehuda. He built even Bethlehem and Etam and Tekoa and Beth-zor and Shoko and Adulam and Gath and Mareshah and Ziph and Adoram and Lachish and Azekah and Zorah and Ahialon and Hebron.
Jump to verse 14.
For the Levites left their suburbs and their possession and came to Yehuda and Jerusalem, for Jeroboam and his sons had cast them off from executing the priest's office unto Yah.
So then we saw where he made priests of his own accord. He set up days of his own accord, which to do that, you got to cut off the rightful priests. So being that he didn't cut off the rightful priests, now they have left being among Israel and have now joined with Yehuda and Benjamin. So now you have Benjamin, Yehuda, and Levi together. So that's where the kings, priests, and warriors then make up the house of Yehuda. There is the tribe of Yehuda, and then there's the house of Yehuda. Go ahead.
And he ordained him priests for the high places, and for the devils, and for the calves which he had made. And after them, out of all the tribes of Israel, such as set their hearts to seek Yahweh Elohim of Israel, came to Jerusalem to sacrifice unto Yahweh Elohim of their fathers.
So then, after them, out of all the tribes of Israel, such as set their heart to seek Yahweh, they knew where to go. Go ahead.
So they strengthened the kingdom of Yehuda and made Jeroboam the son of Shlomo strong. 3 years. For 3 years they walked in the way of Dawid and Shlomo.
All right. So then we then see how these three tribes got to come together and make up this house of Yehuda. This is why you'll have people saying that they are Jews, and then the other people are Beta Israel, which is house of Israel, which started out being 10 tribes, but then turned into the 9 tribes, because these three were together. But then you understand the king has to preside over the warriors, and then the priesthood has to be amongst them. So it was only a matter of time before those priests were basically pushed over to Dawid's side. They had to be pushed over to the side of Yehuda to follow the sons of Dawid. There is order even in situations where it doesn't seem like it was done in a righteous way. Let's go to Ezekiel chapter 37. And see, the Jewish being in the land is also helping the masses tell this lie that all of the people that they got out of Germany is the Jews. Well, if you understand what we just read, that just covers the house of Judah. That's just 3 tribes. So then what happens with the rest of the lie? So then what's happening is the rest of Britain and Europe are telling the world that they are Beta Israel. So they are the ones, the very ones who went in and killed 1.2 million Jews of the house of Yehuda. So understand why the majority of those people have to go back and fight. It was the children of Israel. 1.2 million of the house of Yehuda was killed when they invaded Jerusalem, and the rest were pushed down into Africa, and others taken off to Europe to go and fight in their coliseums for sport and all of these things. So you understand why it's these 3 tribes that have to do the majority of that battle. Not to say that the other ones are not going to be in there, because we're going to read some things. Go ahead.
I just want to say that I believe it was last week or the week before. There's claims now that it's more out in the news now that the Jewish people are saying the Bible is giving them more, showing that they are that they should have the land.
Of course.
So it's more out in the news now.
Mm-hmm. They will use the whole thing of Greater Israel, which they say from the Nile to the river Euphrates, and they said that they want all of it. And I mean, they are a warring people. They have been set up to do so. Even in the whole thing with the Palestinian conflict, the British went over there, them along with America, gave Israel the best weaponry in the Middle East, trained them, taught them how to do everything after they had already disarmed all the Palestinians. So they throwing rocks and making homemade weapons. And the rest of these people got a full army, full navy, full everything. And then one day, they just turned around and walked out. So we're talking British is controlling all of this stuff. But then they put these people in, and all right, now we done told everybody you the Jews. All right, now we finna leave out of here. And they walked out. And when they did, it was a bloodbath. Because all the rest of these people got rocks and sticks. And they got automatic weaponry. So every time they throw a rock, they go, you throw a rock at a tank? It was a slaughter. And it has been ever since. But see, they're holding up one end of the lie. They're holding up the lies that they are the Jews. So Britain is preparing themselves to move in the rest of that to claim themselves as Beta Israel. Go ahead.
Ezekiel chapter 37 and verse 15.
Verse 15, yeah.
The word of Yahweh came again unto me, saying, Moreover, you son of man, take you one stick and write upon it, for Yehudah and for the children of Israel his companions. Then take another stick and write upon it, for Yosef, the stick of Ephraim, and for all the house of Israel his companions. And join them one to another into one stick, and they shall become one in your hand.
Right. So then he's going to heal that wound where Israel has been divided, which has put us in the situation of being conquered by all the other nations. It makes it easier. So Yahweh is going to heal that wound and put those kingdoms back together as one. Go ahead.
And when the children of your people shall speak unto you, saying, Will you now show us what you meaneth by these? Say unto them, Thus says the Adonai, Behold, I will take the stick of Yosef, which is in the hand of Ephraim, and the tribes of Israel his fellows, and will put them with him, even with the stick of Yehudah, and make them one stick, and they shall be one in mine hand. And the sticks whereon you writeth shall be in your hand before their eyes. And say unto them, Thus says the Adonai, Behold, I will take the children of Israel from among the heathen, whether they be gone, and will gather them on every side and bring them into their own land.
Right, and we have to drop the false religion that we had been given before, that our destiny was to go to heaven. Our redemption is in being in our own land. Go ahead.
And I'll make them one nation in the land upon the mountains of Israel, and one king shall be king to them all. And they shall be no more two nations, neither shall they be divided into two kingdoms any more at all. Neither shall they defile themselves any more with their idols, nor with their detestable things, nor with any of their transgressions. But I will save them out of all their dwelling places wherein they have sinned, and will cleanse them. So shall they be my people, and I will be their Elohim. And Dawid my servant shall be king over them, and they all shall have one shepherd. They shall also walk in my judgments and observe my statutes and do them.
He says, I will cleanse them, so shall they be my people, and I will be their Elohim. In other words, there has to be some atonement before we can fully be the children of Israel that we're destined to be. Go ahead.
And they shall dwell in the land that I have given unto Yaakov my servant, wherein your fathers have dwelt. And they shall dwell therein, even they and their children and their children's children forever. And my servant Dawid shall be their prince forever.
Right, because he's going to be under Yahshua. So you have the king that is then going to be presiding. That's the natural king. But then we got a spiritual king that reigns higher than him. That's how in one place you read he's a king, and in the next place it says he's a prince. Go ahead.
Moreover, will make a covenant of peace with them. It shall be an everlasting covenant with them. And I'll place them and multiply them, and will set my sanctuary in the midst of them forevermore. My tabernacle also shall be with them. Yea, I will be their Elohim, and they shall be my people. And the heathen shall know that I, Yahweh, do sanctify Israel, when my sanctuary shall be in the midst of them forevermore.
Right. The nations are then going to understand who we are and understand what they have done to Yahweh's holy people. See, he's going to have to bring that to the understanding of the nations. Now, the powers that be already know that. It's the people of those nations that do not understand who they have done some of those things to. See? They just think, oh, you know, those just some people. Matter of fact, they justified a lot of those things, saying, oh, those people they're not real people. They're not human. So it's okay for us to do all of those things. And then understand when Yahweh brings it to them, who those people were and what you did to them, it is going to be a major problem in the eyes of the nations. Let's go to Jeremiah chapter 51. Jeremiah 51, and we're going to read verses 1 through 9.
Jeremiah chapter 51 and verse 1. Thus says Yahweh, behold, I will raise up against Babylon and against them that dwell in the midst of them that rise up against me a destroying wind, and will send unto Babylon fanners that shall fan her and shall empty her land.
Right. That sometimes every time you turn around, there's another tornado somewhere. What ends up happening to warm up for destruction, you think about a bunch of natural disasters coming, and it already weakens a lot of things. So when people get ready to attack it, it's already weakened by something natural. Go ahead.
For in the day of trouble they shall be against her round about. Against him that bends, let the archer bend his bow. Against him that lifteth himself up in his brigandine, and spare you not her young men, destroy you utterly all her hosts.
Right. And you consider, as we watch the news and unarmed black men are getting shot, these are mothers that are losing their children, and they're crying on television, and it is the powers that be have made a mockery against it. They've laughed at it until it's their time to lose their children. Go ahead.
Thus the slain shall fall in the land of the Chaldeans, and they that are thrust through in her streets.
Sometimes the best thing you can do as a push toward righteously having some things being dealt to you in a better way is to show some concern for something that's happening to somebody else. And somehow people don't see that. Until, of course, the thing makes it to their door, and then they're, woe is me. Oh, I can't believe, woe is me. Yeah, but you showed no concern as it was making its way all the way down the block. It happened at the third house, then happened at the fourth house, then happened at the fifth house. You didn't care at all. Then as soon as it come in your front yard, it ain't made it to your house yet. It's still out in the grass. Oh, you passed out and rolling down the hill. What's the problem? Had you showed some concern, you could have helped your neighbors 3 houses down stop that before it got to your house. Go ahead.
For Israel has not been forsaken, nor Yehuda of his Elohim, of Yahweh of hosts. Though their land was filled with sin against the Holy One of Israel. Flee out of the midst of America, and deliver every man his soul. Be not cut off in her lawlessness, for this is the time of Yahweh's vengeance. He will render unto her recompense.
Now, and we have to understand, as we read about the kings, the priests, and the warriors of Israel, this is why it's got to be primarily the ones that are in the daughter of Babylon that are going to have to lead that charge, because the children of Israel are scattered all about. All of those places are not going to fall. All of those places are not going to go through that. So all of those people are not going to be forced out of there right away. So they're not going to be available to be in that fight. Go ahead.
America has been a golden cup in Yahweh's hand that made all the earth drunken. The nations have drunken of her wine, therefore the nations are mad.
And you listen to the big talk that's going on. What Iran said, even if bomb, we ain't going to surrender. And Russia sitting back quiet, and Russia like, no, that my cousin. Y'all keep it up. Y'all gonna keep it up. Keep it up. Remember the Medo-Persian Empire? Medo is Russia. Persia is Iran. Hello. They have been together before. And it's right in your book. So people can keep playing if they want to. Those people are getting ready for war. They gathering together with China trying to see what can we do about America. These people not playing, and they got the right president in office for them to do all this stuff. So whatever they didn't want to do before, they want to do it against America now. Because they got the worst dude that they could possibly get and put him in office. They got the worst one. But then again, America deserves somebody who's going to be outwardly as stupid as he is. They got the right one. The rest of them were just silently horrible. They could smile. They were showing some things about Barack Obama when Israel came over, and it was already an altercation where Netanyahu came and addressed Congress without any invitation. He just came over here, just showing the kind of power that the Jewish got. And he just gonna address this man's country without talking to this man or nothing. Now the issue was they had already tried to put computer viruses on the nuclear site in Iran. And it was Israel that did it, and they convinced America to join with them. Well, at the last minute, they're gonna boost the virus up, which is what got them caught. So, after all of this, there's about to be a full-scale war. Iran comes out and says, we know what has happened to us, and we know that America did it. What happened was they would be in there with their nuclear reactors while they're trying to make a nuclear weapon, and all of a sudden stuff just keep blowing up. Because they put that computer virus in one of those parts and let it spread throughout their plant. Eventually, they backtracked and caught where it came in at and figured out that it was Israeli and Americans that did it. And there's a documentary on Netflix about it. So after they get caught, Netanyahu comes over so bold and addressed the whole Congress. None of Congress know what has happened. All right? Obama know it, and he's sitting there with a straight face. He the only one that know. There's a few other people in the room that know. These fools just almost got us in World War III. And now he got the audacity to come and stand in front of Congress. And he said every 5 words, he got a standing ovation. He said about 4 or 5 words, like, oh, oh, complete and utter idiots. He is playing them with the strings. And Obama. Ain't but a few people in the room know. These people almost got us blowed up. We didn't even want to engage in this thing that they got us in. So there's some things that are going on behind the scenes that we are just not paying attention to, but these people are moving in the right way to take care of some business. So when you start talking about and reading, let people flee to their own land, there's some things happening for a reason. Go ahead.
Verse 8. America is suddenly fallen and destroyed. Howl for her. Take balm for her pain. If so be, she may be healed. We would have healed America, but she's not healed. Forsake her, and let us go everyone into his own country, for her judgment reaches on to heaven and is lifted up even to the skies.
Right. Let everyone flee into his own country. So as that push starts going forward, the people that we know that this is what they call the Great Melting Pot, right? All of the people are from somewhere else. There's not one that even the Indians that they call, those are only natives. They call them Native Americans. Everybody else came from somewhere else. Every last one of us. This is not any of our home. We're strangers and pilgrims here. Even the Gentiles who walk around say, God bless America and no place else. Hate these foreigners. You foreign too. This ain't your place. So understand that that same thing is not going to happen to all of the rest of Babylon. Europe don't happen to have people from every country the whole way. I mean, there are people that migrate to different places all the time. But we're talking about here, the whole country is made up of people from other places. Then some people have been here longer, so now they think it's theirs. And y'all know how we get, you know what I'm saying? If you let us borrow a coat, and we had that coat 2 months, it's our coat. Right, that's not your coat. No, but I've had the coat for so long. I mean, look at the way it sits on my shoulders. You see that? Right, it's not your coat, man. Just because you had it that long, it does not make it yours. It's not your stuff. And we have to understand, this is not our land. Every bit of this land was stolen from those people. Those people were brutally murdered. And every bit of land that we got houses on, that we say, oh, this is our house. It's on stolen land that people shed their blood when it was taken from them. All you got to do, go up in Kennesaw, you see all the mountains and all of those things up there, and listen to all the Indian names that's up there. Right. They came and killed all them natives and took every last bit of their land. And then they did the same thing of Forsyth County. They got $1 million homes up there. Guess what? Black people used to stay there. When they wanted the land, they made a fake fight. They did the same thing. You know, just to show you how certain things show back up long time later, think about what happened in like Rosewood. They wanted the land, so they come through, they claim one black man whistled at a white woman or did something at a white woman. They end up killing all the black people and running them out of town and end up taking the land. That's what happened in Forsyth County. The $1 million homes, that's on what used to be black land. I'm talking about mansions, and we got nothing for the land. They ran us out. But pause for a second. Go back to Genesis and remember, one sister was raped, and our brothers went through and killed the entire town. Mm-hmm. Pause for a second. Let that marinate. Let that marinate. Mm-hmm. Right. One situation, and we went through and killed the whole town. Now think about what keeps happening to us. One brother do something, they run out the entire town. Right. Let us see the conclusion of this matter. Let's go to Jeremiah chapter 50, and we're going to read verses 1 through 15. Yeah, Yahweh might let it be a little while before your judgment, your righteous judgment show up. But you can go ahead and put a date on it. It's coming. Think about how long ago our people running a whole city out for one thing. Now it's happening to us. The problem is we're losing big money property, land worth $1 million. You can go down to the little county office where the deeds of the land transfer. Go back far enough, and you'll see where the black people owned it. Then there's a pause. And then there's where all white people started owning the land in Forsyth County. But you know what you miss? The sale. See, in each one of those deeds before, you'll find a deed, a sale, a deed, a sale, a deed, a sale. Then you just find a deed. No sale. So how y'all just get the land? They even changed the law so that they can take property in which there was no sale. How you get this land? It's not yours. And they still in that land to this day. And that just didn't happen there. That has happened in every city in America. The same way. But consider what we did in Genesis. See, we got that selective amnesia.
Oh, that was not favorable. I don't remember that.
Yahweh does. Genesis chapter 50. Jeremiah 50. Let's start that at verse 1.
The word that Yahweh spake against America and against the land of the Chaldeans by Jeremiah the prophet. Declare you among the nations, and publish, and set up a standard. Publish, and conceal not. Say, America is taken, Bel is confounded. Murdoch is broken in pieces. Her idols are confounded, her images are broken in pieces.
And we know that this place is mad upon her idols. Everywhere. Go down at any downtown city skyline, and you're going to see a phallic symbol, which they call a church steeple, and things like that. You're going to find all the buildings made in pyramids or phallic symbols, which is would be made basically in the shape of the Washington Monument, which is something that they got out of Egypt. That's what that is. And you can go in any downtown city skyline and see the same thing. In downtown Atlanta, they got a pyramid with the phallic symbol on top, and the whole thing light up at night. And the phallic symbol is basically male genitalia. So they got a big lit up male genitalia downtown. Right. Little man over there like, what? What? That's nasty. In every city. That's what that is. It is a symbol of male power, that they would be able to repopulate the earth and take over the earth. So this place, he says, I'm going to send you into Egypt again. They got a pyramid. They name, we go to Tennessee, man, they name, it's Memphis. What do you think Memphis is? Memphis come from Egypt. That's where Memphis come from. They even named their place. And it's got one of the biggest pyramids in Tennessee you ever want to see. All our houses are built in the form of pyramids. All the churches got 3 triangles and a phallic symbol on the top. Now, you can't find that design anywhere in this book. When we read about Solomon building a temple, he got instructions. None of them said make 3 triangles or 3 pyramids and a phallic symbol. Yet every church is built the same way. Go stand in front of the church, count the pyramids and the steeple, which is the phallic symbol. 1, 2, 3, phallic. 1, 2, 3, phallic. 1, 2, 3. Just go from church to church. Church to church to church to church. Nobody gave them that building plan, but everybody built the church the same way. Where they get it from? Right. She's mad upon her idols. So when Yahweh comes to destroy the houses and the buildings, he's destroying the idols. Remember, when we get a land, we're supposed to go in and destroy the idols. Right. Go ahead.
Verse 3. For out of the north there comes up a nation against her, which shall make her land desolate, and none shall dwell therein. They shall remove, they shall depart, both man and beast. In those days and in that time, says Yah, the children of Israel shall come, they and the children of Yehudah together, going and weeping. They shall go and seek Yahweh their Elohim.
So understand, this means that you're going to have Israel and Yehudah. Even the book says Yehudah is spread to the 4 corners of the globe. So it's not like all of Yehudah is in one place, but the concentration of what's in the daughter of Babylon has to include the 3 that lost the land. Go ahead.
They shall ask the way to Zion with their faces thitherward, saying, Come, and let us join ourselves to Yahweh in a perpetual covenant that shall not be forgotten. My people have been lost sheep. Their shepherds have caused them to go astray. They have turned them away on the mountains. They have gone from mountain to hill. They have forgotten their resting place.
Right. we jump from church to church. Well, I'm gonna go to this church, and then I'll find out. I'll get closer to the word. And then the shepherds just say things to make merchandise of them. So they go from church to church to church, and then eventually just stop going at all. So you got some people that you can't talk to them about no organized form of worship. They don't want to hear it. Because they've gone to too many old churches before, and after a while, they said, man, I see the same thing. Song, a dance, collection plate. Song, dance, collection plate. Song, dance, somebody called the spirit, and collection plate. Go ahead.
All that found them have devoured them, and their adversaries said, we offend not, because they have sinned against Yahweh.
This is how the whole world justifies their treatment of you. We wouldn't have been able to do nothing had they not done nothing against Yahweh, but they did something against Yahweh. So this is fair game, everything that we do to them. We deserve them. They like picking cotton. You see them out there singing, don't you? Right. Go ahead.
The habitation of justice, even Yahweh, the hope of their fathers. Remove out of the midst of America, and go forth out of the land of the Chaldeans, and be as the he-goats before the flock. For, lo, I will raise and cause to come up against America an assembly of great nations.
An assembly of great nations.
From the north country.
From the north country.
And
we know that with all this so-called tariff things going on with China, I don't know if y'all ever paid attention. Everything here is made in China. Okay? Everything. So if they were going to fight China, they are like 100 years too late. They should have started this when we had on bell bottom. This fight is a little bit too late. Everything here is made in China because they want cheap labor. And because they are money-hungry individuals, they have set up a system where they can get more money by letting that thing be made in China and not be made here in America. They set themselves up for this. Now you want to try and fight these people? Does China have unfair practices in their trade? Of course they do. But wouldn't you? If everything is made in your land and those people ain't doing that, they ain't making nothing. So this fight is about to get ugly. While the president is saying all of this stuff, yeah, China gonna pay for all this. No. How that work is you gonna pay for all that. Because if they get hit with high taxes, they're not gonna pay it themselves. All of a sudden, your $800 phone is gonna go to $1,400. They're not paying anything extra. You're going to pay that. While he goes up and comes back all orange from his tanning bed.
You see, I've done it, America.
You did what? You just made all our bills higher. Right. It's a little bit too late. And if those people were planning on really doing something, y'all remember this movie called Small Soldiers? In Small Soldiers, man, I got it on like VHS. Okay. In Small Soldiers, what they had was computer chips and all of these little devices that were made in wherever place they were made. So they put the computer chips in all of these things, and they stayed dormant until a conflict arose, and they activated the chips that were in those things, and those chips turned into weapons, and they started fighting in the places. And these were items that we bought. I'm talking about like somebody had a blender, and the blender turned into a gun and started shooting the people in the house. Okay, the thing was like, even looking at it the first time, I was like, this is a kid movie, but this is like dreadfully scary. You know what I'm saying? You know what I'm saying? Because the little soldiers was like, ripped up and all this kind of stuff. But you have to consider, everything here is made in China. And they are putting all the computer chips in everything. Then you buy them and take them all in your country. And we talking off big noise to these people. And they sitting there like, all right, so when you want us to turn these chips on? Well, you want to turn these chips on? Because I'm ready for these people to die. All the stuff is already here. We're starting to look now. You're looking now. You're looking about 20 years too late. That stuff been here. See? So now we're trying to wage electronic warfare. They've been already doing it 20 years before because you made it to where people couldn't make things here and make money. They had to get it made overseas. And they put them chips in everything. And if you don't think that them chips mean something, you are sadly mistaken. Go ahead, brother. Let's finish this.
Even with that right now, it's this conflict going on with iPhone and a company called Huawei over in China. And they're iPhone's trying to flex themselves, and the Chinese like, the heck with y'all. They going with their company, their country's production, and dropping the iPhones.
Yeah. And what's happening is iPhone is trying not to let people be able to like hack in it in certain situations. Basically, I read some article where that same company is setting up this 5G network for all of these other countries. And that's a Chinese company. And they said, America is saying, if you let these people set this up, they're going to be spying in your country. They're going to be using the infrastructure that they set up for your 5G network, and they're going to use it as basically an electronic weapon. But those people saying, look, they're giving us a good deal, so we ain't studying. So it is what it is. So America is trying to stop those people, but they saying, okay, so we go with y'all. How is that different than what y'all do to us? Oh, it got real then. That's when the phone got, wait a minute, it's static on this line. What the? No, ain't no static on the line. You've been doing the same thing to us. You come over here with Greenpeace telling us that you passing out, biscuits and shots, and come to figure out you've been spying the whole time. So how's that different? So what's happening is China is getting even more of a foothold. If they're setting up all these countries' 5G network, they have communication then all over the world. If you keep reading Jeremiah 50 and 51, it says that she's going to have to run from one post to the other to tell them that their cities have been taken. What does that mean? That means communication is down. We're able to look on the internet and tell what happened in California from Georgia. But if you got to actually run to California, remember the dude on the horseback? The British are coming, the British are coming. Remember that dude? Oh, it's going to take a long time to get to California from here. See, it's real easy as long as that communication network is up and running. But when that communication network goes down, understand, you can't even get money out of the bank. I don't care how much money you got in there. They said, look, we can't access the account. What do you mean you can't access the account? I'm at the bank, the money back there. I'm standing here. You go back there and get the money. Sir, we can't verify that money is yours. No, I got it right here. Sir, that's your piece of paper. We can't prove that that's your money, so you can't get no money. Oh, I'm gonna get some money. You can believe that. So a lot of us gonna go to jail. Read, bro.
And they shall set themselves in array against her. From thence she shall be taken. Their arrows shall be as of a mighty expert man. None shall return in vain. And Chaldea shall be a spoil.
Right. None of everything they shoot gonna hit. And that's why sometimes they get so many weapons, so they can shoot a whole bunch of them. And just hope one of them hit. Just shoot 50 times. The dudes on the street, they can't shoot worth nothing. That's why all the wrong people are always getting shot. Dude got 50 rounds, and he don't hit the dude right in front of him. But he shoot the old lady and the kid 2 houses down. He don't know what he doing. He's scared of the gun. He ain't never practiced it. He don't know how. He ain't never went in no range. He just bought it on the street, and he couldn't wait to use it. He don't know how to use it. He said everything they shoot, everyone they shoot gonna hit something. Go ahead.
And Chaldea shall be a spoil, and all that spoil her shall be satisfied, says Yah. Because you were glad, because you rejoiced, O you destroyers of mine heritage.
Right. You rejoice at the destruction of my people Israel. Now it's time for Israel to rejoice at your destruction. Go ahead.
Because you are grown fat as the heifer at grass, and bellow as bulls. Your mother shall
Your
be...
mother, the country that this country was birthed out of. This ain't nothing but the birth child of Europe. And they show you that by how they act. Anytime they be like,
Oh, the queen is about to come to the land.
oh, everybody just go crazy.
Oh, look, there's going to be a royal baby.
These people act like they're still in Europe. Go to the grocery store. It's on every cover.
Is it new? And the Duchess is about to have a baby. What's wrong? Oh, look at what she's wearing. Oh, my God. Look at her dress. Oh, my God.
Who cares? All of the people over here are so in tune to everything that happens there. Right. They remember where they come from. Your mother who birthed you. This is the only country in the world that has been birthed out of another country. It can't be nobody else. Go ahead.
Your mother shall be sore confounded. She that bare you shall be ashamed. Behold, the hindermost of the nations shall be a wilderness, a dry land, and a desert.
Right. You have to consider this big caldera that's sitting in the middle of this country. They go on military exercises, and then they jade helm exercises. It put a whole part of America underwater. Now, how are they doing this exercise for the majority of United States to be underwater? The caldera is an underground bomb. You think the Russians don't know it there? It is a volcano that is like the size of like 3 states. This is where sometimes, you know, they have the little geysers that'll just go off and it'll just shoot hot water in there. That's built up pressure. Pressure gets strong enough, whoa, shoot off. See, it's only a matter of time before this thing blows. Now, what happens if you can help it blow? What happens if you send a bomb inside of a bomb? Once it starts bubbling out and starts shooting hot lava and rock projectiles like a bomb, oh, it's going to take care of the rest of the business. And when you're talking about all of those things along those fault lines, if you hit something along those fault lines and it slide off into the water starts flowing in and covering everything else. See, there's certain parts of America that really are not supposed to be lived in anyway. Places like Louisiana and Florida, they're already underwater. They have intricate systems that keep New Orleans, Louisiana from flooding. Those pumps have to run constantly. It is below sea level. There's a reason why Florida was marshland. Water is constantly trying to get it. And where? In those 2 places are the places that you find on the internet where they keep having these sinkholes. Well, there's one video where the trees just disappear. You're just sitting there looking at the tree. I'm talking about the hole is opening up and the tree just keep. And it's like one of the most amazing things ever. You're like, is that tree getting shorter? It's just going down in the water. It's just taking off. Those some sinkholes just opening up. There's one that happened in Florida that they filled the thing up with dirt and cement and everything. And in a short time, they can already see that it's already done sunk down. I mean, that was somebody's house. They never found that guy. They just put a fence around the place and nobody there can sell those properties. People are like, wait a minute, ain't that the place that the ground opened up and ate the dude? Oh no, man, we can't buy that house. They can't get a house away. They're like, look, you come stay here and I'll pay you. No, no, thank you. People homeless and be like, no, it's safe out here in these bushes. No, I'm not going over there. That ground just ate some people. I am not going over there. Go ahead, bro.
Verse 13. Because of the anger of Yahweh, it shall not be inhabited, but it shall be wholly desolate. Everyone that goes to America shall be astonished and hiss at all her plagues.
Mm-hmm. You know, what happens with nuclear reactors and things like that, they cannot get to the point where they get hot. Once you build them, you have to maintain them forever. Forever is a very, very strong word. Very strong wood. So after you build it, you have to make sure that it stays cool forever. Well, what happened in Japan? Power went out for too long. Uh-oh. Nuclear reactor got hot. Uh-oh. Sent poison everywhere. Now, what do you think about all these places that's got these nuclear reactors? And once the power goes down for a long period of time, ain't nobody gonna be able to stay in those places. Only thing that can live in a nuclear environment are wild animals. That's it. Go ahead.
Put yourselves in array against America round about. All you that bend the bow, shoot at her. Spare no arrows, for she has sinned against Yahweh.
Mm-hmm.
Shout against her round about. She has given her hand. Her foundations are fallen. Her walls are thrown down. For it is the vengeance of Yah. Take vengeance upon her, as she has done, do unto her.
So what happens? The same thing that we read in the beginning. Things happen. Yahweh waits to the end time to bring forth all that judgment. He let everybody think they done got away with everything. He let the children of Israel be murdered, raped, spread all across, and everybody has believed that they have gotten by. Then Yahweh is going to come forth with judgment, and he's going to go all the way down the list. Everything that has happened, he's going to take care of that business. All we got to do is do what we're supposed to do. That's all that we're going to do for today. Remember the Sabbath to keep it holy. Shabbat shalom.
Shabbat shalom.